Hey guys, it's Allison here, and I am back with another floral granny square. This was the next square that I pulled, and I've done one of these squares that has is made up of 4 little squares. In fact, this is it, and I'm not happy with it. I feel like my slip stitch joining is too tight. When I blocked it, it's deformed. So it's on my list to sort of see if I can fix this. So for this one, I have decided to try something different with the slip stitches. But first, let's make one of these little squares. So it is the chart you get on the back is for 1 square. So you make 4 of these and then you join them together. And this one it's fairly simple. It's 8 single crochets in the center, and then you make these little petals by chains. So you're going in the front loop only, and you just slip stitch, chain 7, and slip stitch right back into that same single crochet into the front loop of it. The next round you're coming in behind, so you go into the back loop of the stitches, the single crochets from the first round, and then you build out from there. So I thought, oh, first let's talk colors. These are the 3 colors that my random wheel pulled. I've got lemon ice, poppy red, and deep berry. And I went ahead and made 3 of the squares already. So this is what it looks like. These are the little daisy petals in the center bit, and then the little mini granny square behind. So I have 3 of those already made, but I thought we could go make the 4th one together and then seam it up. Now this one, because the backgrounds of the square are all the same color, it's going to be easier to seam it up because you can just use the same color yarn as your background square, and so you're not going to see the yarn or anything like that. That was part of the problem with this one, is that I didn't necessarily want the yarn to be seen. However, I will probably just ignore that when I sew these together again, which I might do on camera. Stay tuned. Okay, but let's deal with this for today. So we're going to start with our yellow. And if you've been following along with me by now, you know I like to do the magic ring. So, little review. I start with the tail of the yarn in the palm of my hand, and then I wrap the yarn around my fingers and create an X. I take my hook, and I have the hook down, and I go underneath that first strand of yarn, grab the back strand and pull it through, and I twist, and now my hook is facing up, and I can scoop up that back yarn and pull it through for a chain. Then I can take my fingers out, and then all my stitches go inside this loop here. I need 8 single crochets. One thing I have learned, if you are working in the front loop and the back loop of a stitch like this one, I try to keep my single crochets as loose as possible. Now I am a pretty tight crocheter, and once you pull this ring closed, it does tighten up these stitches. So you just have to keep that in mind. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. One more. So I'm going to pull my ring, and I just pull the little tail to close up my ring. I'm not going to close it all the way. And this is what I've been doing to make these magic circles as neat as possible. And I'm going to grab a needle. So I didn't chain over to or slip stitch, sorry, to close the ring yet. I just pulled my yarn out of its stitch. I'm going to thread that onto a needle, which honestly is the hardest part. And then I'm going to come over to the very first stitch, and I'm going to do like my invisible join. So I go underneath both loops of that first stitch from front to back, pull my yarn through, I come over to the last stitch, and I go down through the center and out the back. And that creates this like faux stitch there. And then I'm just going to take a moment and I'm going to weave this tail in a little bit, get it out of the way. So now we've got our ring of single crochets. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. This is my slip stitch, my faux stitch. So I have to keep in mind, sorry if that was blurry. I have to keep in mind not to sew into that, or not to put a stitch into that. So our next step is with the poppy red, and we're going to attach in the front loop of our first stitch, and I'm purposefully keeping my center loose. I haven't tightened this up as far as it can go because I want to keep my single crochet stitches loose while I do this. It'll just make things a lot easier. So I attach into the front loop of my first stitch, and I'm going to chain 7. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. And then I'm going to come back and I'm going to slip stitch right into that same stitch. And I am trapping the yarn at the back there just to secure it a little bit more. And now I repeat that in the next stitch. So I slip stitch into the next stitch, front loop only, chain 7, back into that front loop and first slip stitch. And I will pull those quite tight. I want my petals to be locked down fairly tightly. And we're just going to do that in every stitch, working in the front loop only. Oopsies. This is my last petal. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah. Try and talk and chain and count it all at the same time. It doesn't really work. So I slip stitch down to finish that petal, and then I'm going to come across. Remember, this was where my faux stitch was, so I'm just going to come across to that first petal, slip stitch in there. And this time I'm not going to worry about making a faux stitch. I am just going to fasten off because I can hide that little bump when I weave the ends in. So there we go. That is the first 2 rounds. I'm going to keep this loose while I work the granny square back. And that is in my third color, which is the deep berry. So these ones are worked in the back loops. So we worked the petals in the front loops, and now we're coming into the back loops. So I am actually going to start there. Okay. So I chain 3 to join. Nope, chain 2. And then we do 2 half double crochets. Oops, that feels split. Let's try that again. And then I've got 3 chains, and I come over I sort of skip a single crochet, and then in the back loop of the next single crochet, I do the same thing, 3 half double crochets. So 1, 2, 3 chains, just like you're making a corner. Well, you're making a corner. I skip that back loop, and I go into the next back loop. Make sure we're in focus here. So I skip this next back loop, and I come over to this one. Ooh. Make sure I've got the right back loop. And that's why I didn't tighten my center ring, because when the back loops are really tight, or when the center ring is really tight, it makes those back loops really tight, and it's just next to impossible to get into. Okay, so I've done my 3 half double crochets, skip the back loop, go into the next back loop, and repeat. Chain 3, and then we come over to our first chain 2, and we can attach our yarn. So that is this round. And now we're gonna slip stitch over to our first corner, and then we're gonna make a new corner, this time with double crochets. So I find my next stitch, slip stitch in there, slip stitch in the next one, and then we're in my corner, so I can chain 3, whoopsies, 1, 2, 3, and then follow that with 2 double crochets, a chain 3, and 2 double crochets. Chain 1 to skip over this cluster, and then we're going to make another corner. 3 double crochets, chain 3, and 3 double crochets. Yep, I suddenly thought, wait, I think I only did 2 double crochets back there. Sure enough, this is what happens when you talk and film and crochet and count in your head all at the same time. Sometimes you don't do that properly. So let's try that again. Chain 3 in the corner, and 3 more double crochets. Chain 1 to hop over this cluster here, and make another corner. So one last chain 1, and then we can come across and attach. Now I am going to do my invisible join here, because I don't like the unsightly little bump that the sort of chain 1 tie it off method gives you. So I've cut my yarn. I'm going to come across to my starting chain 3, go from front to back through the top of that chain, and then down through the center of my chain 1, out through the back, and just tug it. And there we go. So I'm going to take a moment and sew in all these ends, and then we'll come back and we will attach these little squares together. All right, so now my squares are finished. So the method that they suggest is a slip stitch from behind, and going through the sort of the back loops, and that gives you this look. So let's see if we can do that. Sometimes I don't have success in actually following instructions, but we'll give it a shot. Okay, so I've got a slip knot on my hook. I'm going to take these first 2 squares. I'm going to put right sides together, And then holding my yarn at the back, I'm going to find that middle chain, and I want to find the sort of outer loops of the chain, which would leave the inner loop showing up on the inside, and that's what gives it that texture on the inside. So I just come and I grab the outer loop from one square and the outer loop from the back square and slip stitch those two together. Because these are identical, all of my stitches should line up. I'm in my chain right now. So when I get to the last stitch on one square, it should line up with the last stitch on the other square. Now I did notice on this one, I accidentally split this as I was making it, and I didn't notice it at the time. So hopefully by slip stitching this together, we can fix that. Okay, here we are in the corner again. So those two are crocheted together. Now, so I'm going to go in the back of this one corner. Sorry, I hope that was all in focus. My camera has a hard time focusing. And then I'm going to come over to the other corner, grab the back there. And grab the back of that one. Oh, that's not right. Set all four together. And now we can continue the process up the middle of this one. I know this is dark yarn, so you're probably having a hard time seeing these stitches. It's a lot easier in real life. Even when you have old eyes like mine, as long as you've got bright lights, you will be able to do this without any problem. Oopsies. Okay, so I miscalculated something somewhere. Should I just blame the dark yarn for that? After I've said it's no problem. And then we have a butterfly. Okay, so that's all seamed up, and I do have that lovely ridge, just like the picture. So yay. So now I'm going to tie this off, and then I'll do the same along this side, and I will come back when I'm done. All right, so that is done. I'm just tying that off. And there we go. That is my little daisy square. So thanks for joining me today, and I will see you again soon for another floral granny square.